So I'd like to begin by welcoming everyone to the first constitutional conversation of 2013 put on by the Constitutional Law Center here at Stanford. And it's my special pleasure to introduce our guest for tonight, Jess Bravin of the Wall Street Journal and author of the recent book, The Terror Courts, on sale, I should add, at better bookstores everywhere, and even the Stanford bookstore, so you may want to grab that. So this is probably the most serious account of what has actually happened in the court system in Guantanamo and a series of trials that have been taking place there. I'm not going to trespass on the subject matter because Jess is going to give us a good taste of what he's been writing about. But I did want to introduce Jess the person. He's someone I got to know a few years ago when we were both traveling from Washington D.C. to Williamsburg, and the Amtrak broke down, and we grabbed a car and rode down together and had just an extraordinarily enjoyable time because Jess is, as I think most people know, one of the leading legal reporters in the United States. But what they may not know is he's a person of extraordinary humor and wit, and so I want to expose a little bit of that to you right now, because when he was in college at Harvard, he was roommates with Peter Sagal of Wait, Don't Tell Me, and they were both members of they were not the Harvard Crimson crowd. They were the Harvard Lampoon, along with the head of the Lampoon at that time, Conan O'Brien. And I've been told this elaborate story, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to get all the details right, about he and his cronies are contriving to arrange an invitation to Harvard to speak as a man of letters, the actor who played Robin in the Batman movies. And while he was there, somehow managing to pilfer his Robin costume and then pretending to be the Penguin, I think it is, and negotiating for the return of this costume, to the great hilarity of the entire campus. So a mutual friend of ours who was the defense counsel for Hamdan in his military commission trial in Guantanamo described Jess to me as something of a combination between Edward R. Murrow and Dave Letterman. So welcome, Jess, and thanks for coming.
Well, am I on? Okay. Well, thanks, Judge. I was going to say that I didn't realize that Judge McConnell was going to mention that car trip. I was going to say that he was forced to take a 2-hour car trip with me and invited me here anyway. So showing you what his judicial temperament and good spirits. Just for the record, it was Burt Ward who played Robin the Boy Wonder in the Batman television series. And for those who want to get the exact details on that episode, look for my next book. But tonight's topic is a bit more serious. So before getting into it, I thought perhaps an important documentary moment would be best for beginning the evening. So Nathan, if you could please hit the lights and show us our first clip.
Hey, I didn't want to spill anything on it.
You want me to hang it up?
Thanks.
Let me take that.
This is nice.
Yeah, a little grilled salmon and vegetables. Very interesting.
Hey, can I help? Let me do something.
No, it's all taken care of. Have a seat.
Can we see it? Do we need to turn off more lights? Or?
Well, the first issue is, can the president hold the military tribunal at all? Deciding criminal liability should be a matter for the courts.
Well, the answer is yes. During World War II, 6 German saboteurs were tried and hanged at the tribunal. The Supreme Court held
But during the Civil War, the Supreme Court criticized military tribunals.
That's because they included U.S. citizens. I think the president took the curse off this thing back when he excluded U.S. citizens as tribunals. These terrorists are fair game.
You may have convinced yourself of that, Harm, but that's got to be their opening salvo.
I don't think the Admiral's going to want to tell the judges they came all that way for nothing. He'd lose and he knows it.
Well, we have to be prepared for it anyway.
That's a waste of time. Look, we have very little to spare. The facts in this case are so sensitive we don't even get them until we're aboard the carrier. I'm going to pass on the jurisdictional line of attack. My responsibility.
Excuse me, but who made you first chair?
The Admiral mentioned my name first.
So?
All right, I'll tell you what. We'll flip for it.
Okay.
You call it.
Heads.
Sorry. You okay?
Yeah, but I'm second chair.
I'll be gentle.
Don't be gentle. Be good.
Well, that's one of many, many dramatic representations of the military commissions project at Guantanamo. And one thing that we learned from it is that the people involved are extraordinarily good looking. It's actually from the television show Jag, which no longer on the air, but it would take its storylines from cases, mainly military cases that took place. And that episode, called Tribunal, actually aired in April of 2002. So President Bush issued an order authorizing military commissions in November of 2001, and by the next spring, one already actually took place on television on that show. And surprisingly, I read the script. It anticipated many of the issues that really take place at military commissions, and some which are taking place right now. So I thought I would just point out that the thing they're talking about over their delicious salad with balsamic vinegar dressing is the exclusion of U.S. citizens from military commission trials. And that is an issue that is on appeal right now and may turn out to be quite significant for whether the project there continues. But the book, The Terror Courts, I mean, on the cover we have a bunch of people dressed as detainees, a news photo taken from one of the protests that occurred in Washington regarding this project. But the book is really not about terrorists, and it's not that much about detainees, except in as much as they are involved in this system that Americans have set up. The story that I wanted to tell was about the Americans and the American values as expressed through the legal system at a time of crisis and national emergency. And what we learn is really bedrock to our view of the law and the legal process, and what is really more disposable depending on the circumstances that we face. The story, to step back for a minute, a couple years ago, Attorney General Holder announced that he was going to hold the 9/11 trial in Manhattan in the Southern District of New York, and the 5 co-defendants, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and his 4 co-defendants, would be tried under the U.S. Code in the federal courthouse. And there was a big political uproar about it. There was very little public and political support for what the Attorney General wanted to do, and eventually the Obama administration decided to reassign those defendants to a military commission at Guantanamo Bay. But through that months-long controversy, there wasn't much exploration of what a military commission at Guantanamo Bay actually is. The debate pretty much boiled down to military courts are tough, civilian courts presumably are weaker, and given a choice about who you'd want to deal with alleged terrorists and enemies of the United States, well, it seems like you'd want the tough guys to deal with them. And there was not a lot of discussion about what military commissions are, how they operate, who runs them, those sorts of questions which I think are important for Americans to consider when deciding